Welcome to iLecture Online. With this video, we're going to introduce you to rotational motion, at least a broad overview. And what is rotational motion? Well, it's very similar to one-dimensional linear motion, except that we go around in a circle instead of traveling along a straight path. You may remember the equation of kinematics for the linear motion. We have the x equals x sub naught plus v sub naught t plus 1/2 at squared, or v equals v sub naught plus at, or v squared equals v initial squared plus 2a times the distance traveled. Well, if we now change our linear units to rotational units, instead of talking about distance, we can talk about angle. Instead of velocity, angular velocity. Instead of acceleration, angular acceleration. So by definition, if we look at the units, distance is in radians. Omega, or angular velocity, is in radians per second, and in angular acceleration is in radians per second squared. So instead of using meters for distance, we use radians for angle. Now notice that when we go all the way around the circle, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a little bit more, or 2 pi radians. 2 pi is about 6.28, roughly speaking. 1 radian is roughly 57.3 degrees. Also notice that we can talk about revolutions or revolutions per second. So notice that 1 revolution, 1 trip around a circle, is the same as 2 pi radians in angle. Now if we traveled a certain distance from our initial point out to here, we've traveled through a particular angle theta. So this is called the angular distance theta. But the corresponding linear distance along the arc of that circle, s, is equal to the radius times the angle distance. So r times theta is equivalent to s. If we travel that in a certain amount of time t, we can then say that our angular velocity is the distance traveled in angle divided by the time elapsed. In general, we can relate the units to one another. We can say that distance traveled around the arc, so instead of using s, we can use x. So as we travel around the arc, we can say that the distance traveled is equal to the radius times the angle theta. We can also say that the velocity traveled along the path along the circle, is equal to r times omega. And we can say that the acceleration, if we change the speed at which we travel around the circle, if we change that, there's therefore an angular acceleration, and the linear acceleration along that line here that makes up the circle is equal to r times alpha. So we also have these relationships between the linear motion and the angular motion. Now, often we can get better understanding when we use some examples. So here's a couple of examples. Example 1, let's say that we start at initial velocity equal to 0. Final velocity is equal to 10 radians per second. We, of course, are talking about angular velocity. And the time lapse is 2 seconds to go from 0 to 10 radians per second. How far did we travel in angle? And what was our angular acceleration? So remember, we're going to use these equivalent equations. Instead of using the linear equations of kinematics, we're going to use the rotational equations of kinematics, or angular equations of kinematics. So starting out, we're going to start with this equation, the second one right here, and we're going to solve that for the angular acceleration. Notice we end up angular acceleration equals the final omega, final angular velocity, minus initial angular velocity divided by the time. So 10 radians per second minus 0 divided by 2 seconds gives us 5 radians per second squared. To get the distance traveled, we're going to use the first equation right here. Notice that this is 0 and that's 0 because we start from rest. So we get the distance is equal to 1/2 alpha t squared, and therefore alpha is 5 radians per second squared, t is 2 seconds, so that ends up being 10 radians. So during that first 2 seconds, we will have traveled a radial distance of 10 radians, which is a little bit more than 1 revolution, since 1 revolution is 2 pi radians, or 6.28 radians. Our second example, here we have the initial velocity, again, angular velocity is 0, but here they tell us that we travel 35 revolutions in 4.8 seconds, starting from rest. So we're going to change the revolutions to radians, so we multiply 35 by 2 pi to get radians, which is 70 pi radians, and now we want to find the final angular velocity and the acceleration involved to accomplish that. So using our first equation, kinematics, notice we take 0 for the initial angle, 0 for the initial velocity, angular velocity, and 1/2 at squared. Solving this for alpha, the angular acceleration, we get 2 times the angle divided by t squared, 2 times 70 pi radians divided by 4.8 seconds squared, and we get 19.1 radians per second squared. So that is the angular acceleration. To find out what our final velocity is, again, the angular velocity, we take the initial velocity plus alpha times t. That's that equation, second equation right there. And so plugging in the acceleration in radians per second squared and the time, 4.8 seconds. Notice when we multiply, whoa, something, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's about right. 91.6 radians per second. For a moment there, I thought it might be wrong, but that's the right answer. So here are 2 simple examples to illustrate how we use the equation of kinematics for rotational motion. It's very similar to using the equation of kinematics for linear motion, and that is how it's done.